Hello everyone and welcome, it's Shanna. Now today we are working with the Spellbinders Club of the months, and I have got the BetterPress. This is called Paws in the City. It has got the girl and her dog. It's I think a bulldog. We've got Sentiments for Real, You're My Fave, Charm to Know You, Life is Better with Girlfriends, Life's More Fun with a Little Flair, and Thanks for Showing Up in Style. So we're going to use this plate. We're also going to use the Luxe Links, and this is a Glimmer plate, and it's like chain. It's like a chain or links or whatever. And we've got two sentiments. Here's to another well-styled year. And then we have Saw This and Thought of You. And those, you can glimmer those, and they have coordinating dies that go with them. So we're going to be using that as well, and we're also going to use the clear stamp and die of the month. And this is Go To Girl, and there are three super cute girls. I laid it on this blue. You cannot see it at all. I'll eventually put it on white. But the sentiments for this set are thanks for being my go-to girl, best brunch buddies ever, Paws down, for my brunch date and best mate, sending smiles with every step. And then there's a couple little dogs and little hearts and a little purse. And we're going to work with all of it on our cards today. And I'm going to start out with a BetterPress. I've got some watercolor paper with the smooth side face down so that I can press on the smooth side. We have got this registration guide that I've laid down on there so that we can lay our girl down and press her, and then we can lift her up and lay our dog down and press him, and his leash will be over the top of the girl and will line up perfectly like she's holding his leash. So I'm taping this registration plate down because I was moving her around a little bit and I realized it was moving, and I don't want it to move because once I get her stamped, I want to line that dog up perfectly with where she was stamped so that that leash will be in the right spot. So I'm just showing you that's kind of how it would work. So we'll pull that aside. We're going to first get her stamped, and I'm using Cosmic Sky BetterPress ink, and I'm just going to get her inked up really well, and we'll give it a press. And then we're going to come back in and we're going to press the dog as well. So we'll get the Platinum 6 and just run it through there. I don't mind running it front and back when I'm pressing, and it'll work just fine. And look at that, we got a great press. And the Cosmic Sky ink worked really well. So I'm going to get my stamp chamois and just kind of clean that off a little bit. And then we'll get our dog laid down on there, and we'll give our panel another press with our dog on it. And so I'm just taking care to get it lined up on there. And then I'm going to use that same Cosmic Sky BetterPress ink and get it inked up. Now it was moving a little bit on me as I was inking it up. And so what I'm going to do is grab my tweezers and just move it as I need to get it lined up. And that'll keep the ink off my fingers, and hopefully I won't mess up the ink on the die so that it'll press nicely. And we'll go ahead and run that through the BetterPress. So yesterday was Halloween. I hope you all had a nice and safe holiday. We had a little get-together at our house. So I've got a couple spots there, and that one on the bottom actually falls off. I don't know what it was. It was like but there's one right there underneath the coffee cup. But we're going to add a sentiment, so it's not going to... It won't matter. It'll be just fine. So we'll get a registration sheet pulled off there, and we're going to bring in the sentiment press plates, and we're going to use the same Cosmic Sky ink, and we're going to press them all at once and die cut them out all at once, and we will have 5 sentiments with just, one press of the plate and one press of the dies to cut them apart. And I love that. I love that they do that. It just makes a quick way you can get a whole bunch of sentiments, and they look great. So there we go. So I'm going to bring in my plates, and we'll lay the dies down on here, and we'll just get them cut apart. And I will bring in some tape and tape it down because I have found that if I don't, I mess it up. So we'll line them up and press them out. Looks like my light was flickering. I didn't notice it as I was crafting. All right, so we'll get them pressed out and we're good to go. We really have all of the elements for our first card now. So we've got I'm bringing in some of the blue, I think it's Cosmic Sky paper, I don't know. And I've got the Posy and Dots 3D embossing folder. It was recently released. And I'm going to press the dots into this blue cardstock. And it will just add a little bit of extra interest to our card. This card is going to be fairly simple. It's going to be a clean and simple card with not very many elements or very much dimension. And so I thought it would be fun to bring in an embossed panel and put it behind our little scene. So I've got my little girl and little dog. I'm still fussing with those two little dots there. I'll cover them up with a sentiment, as I said. And I'm going to trim it down to 3 3/4 by 5. And that way I'll have a little bit of those polka dots showing, and you'll be able to see some of that embossed detail that's on that back panel. There we go. So I've got my card base, and you can see I'm going to have a nice little white edge all the way around that because I cut that panel down. I've got a little edge sticking out on there, and I trimmed it off. And this is where I'm trimming the panel down, and we'll see white around it. That duo embossing folder doesn't quite do a full A2 panel on the bottom part. So you have just a little ridge on there. If you line it up exactly, you'll have a little ridge on both sides, but I didn't. I had kind of like a flat spot on one side, and so I decided to trim that away. Now I'm just bringing in my big bottle that has the wide nozzle so I can get a lot of glue out on this panel. That way I can slide it around as I need to. We'll get that lined up on there. So I mentioned our little party. We had a little bonfire and we made chili and lots of food and snacks and stuff. And all the kids came over. So it was pretty hectic for me because I had all the kids and I was trying to keep track of all of them. But I think the kids and Pat had a nice time. I was pretty much chasing kids the whole time. So I could have used some foam tape to pop that up, but I'm giving it a good press to try and get it to lay down on all those dots that are popped up. And the sentiment we're going to use for this card is the fur reel, You're My Friend, or my fave. I thought that'd be cute since she's got her little fur friend that is with her. And I'm going to have to trim that up. I got a little crazy with my foam tape, and it's sticking out of the front of my sentiment there, so I need to clean it up so you won't be able to see it on the front of my card. And we're going to lay it and cover up those two little spots that were just driving me nuts. And I think it fits fine. And then we're going to bring in some embellishments. I've got some Spellbinders gems, and these are kind of iridescent, and they kind of take on a pink and a blue hue, and I think they'll pick up the blue hue on this card. So we're going to lay a couple above and then one below the sentiment and just add a little bit of sparkle, but still keeping this to a very clean and simple card. But I like it. I think it's cute. And you could choose to watercolor her in or whatever, but I like the lines, just the straight lines. So the Glimmer machine was getting hot, and I had it running while I was doing the other thing, and it kind of shut off. And so I turned it back on. It was still hot. It was hot to the touch, so I knew it was almost ready. And so we're going to go ahead, and you can see the light's red, but it won't take long to green up, I don't think, because, like I said, it was pretty warm. So this press plate, it's not a full press plate. You can see it's got kind of those little wings that come out on it, but it just continues the pattern beyond your card base, and I guess, by not having all the centers filled in, it doesn't use as much product and doesn't weigh as much, so it's probably a good way to save on your resources when you're making dies, I would guess. So I've got my glimmer plates here, my shim and my plate, and you can see I've glimmered that plate up before. I have 2 sets of them, and I've glimmered them both up. User error for sure. So I'm just getting my Platinum 6 in, and we're going to press these. And for the glimmer, I don't do 2 presses on them. I just do 1 because I don't want to have a bunch of overfoiling. And so we'll have the big reveal, and you can tell when you flip it over that it has foiled beautifully just by the impression that was on the foil. And I just use that glitter gold foil for this. It's kind of holographic, and it looks lovely. Got a little bit of overfoiling there. I did use some washi tape and kind of picked it up and cleaned it up a little bit. We're going to use this Luxe Links background for our Go-To Girl card, and it'll be our background. And it's also going to be a pretty simple card, but we're going to have some shine from the glimmer, and we're going to do a little ink blending, and we'll color these girls up. So I'm looking at debating which one of these girls do I want to do. And I decide, well, let's just stamp them all, and we'll just decide which ones we want to do. And so I'll set all 3 of them down there, and we'll stamp them up. I think I even throw a sentiment down there as well. I can't recall if I did. I think I decided not to, and that I could stamp directly on there, but then I'll change my mind in the end. And we actually could have used some of those sentiments from the Paws in the City BetterPress, because I think that life is better with girlfriends would have been a good sentiment for this card that I do. I didn't think of that until after I finished the card and was putting things away. I thought, oh, I could have used that. But we'll stamp something on the inside of our card with this. So I just selected some markers, and I've sped this up tremendously because you're not going to learn anything from me about coloring. I'm just going to do some simple coloring and have fun with it. And I've got each gal has a 2-tone color for her outfit. I've got a lighter green and a darker green here, and I've got some auburn hair that I'm doing. And then we've got the little dog. I'm just doing a medium suntan skin tone for all 3 of them. Now this little gal's got a pink, 2-tone pink. We've got a lighter pink and a darker pink that we're going to color her up with. And she's going to be a little blonde. I thought, well, I got that skin tone in my hand. Let's color up both the skin on both of those. So that's what we did. And our next little girl's going to be a brunette. So I'm bringing in a brown marker, and we're coloring her in. And she's going to have a little blue and white outfit. She's got jeans and a little top on. I think they're darling. Very simple coloring. They're drawn so simply that I think you can color them very simply, and you don't have to be an expert colorist to get really cute results, because I actually thought mine looked cute. I just like the way they're drawn. Aren't they sweet? So we're going to use this Luxe Links gold panel for our cards. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to put her on there. And then I decide I'm going to put them all on there. So I'm cleaning up my mess while I'm contemplating which girl I'm going to put on there. And I'm like, okay, let's just get them all die cut out. Now look, I have got junk on my plates from the last time I die cut something out. I do not do a very good job of cleaning my plates after I get done with them. And you can tell they're pretty well worn. I haven't had my Empress machine for very long, but those plates sure look like it. But when you make as many cards as I do and make videos every day, your equipment does get a little bit worn. So I'm just getting my dies all lined up on there. The little girl with the dog is so cute. Well, they all are. And then we'll find our cover plate and we'll just go to the die cutting machine and get them die cut out. Again, I'm going to tape them down so they don't move. And then we can get them die cut out. So the littlest boy stayed all night last night, so we had him. And so then I had him most of the morning, and they were pretty wound up. So they had a great time with their big cousins last night, running through the house, chasing after the dogs. The dogs were here too. So we had a little bit of chaos going on. I tried for a minute to put some Halloween shows on so they could watch them, but they weren't interested in that. So I just quickly moved to Hallmark Christmas movies, and I just started watching it. So I advanced past Christmas past Halloween straight into Christmas on Halloween night. And I've actually been watching some movies again today, so I'm in that cozy Hallmark movie season now. So here's my little gals, and I'm thinking, I like how they're laying on here. Here is where I'm shifting, and I'm thinking, I'm going to use all three of them. Now what am I going to do with them? And I'm going to try and figure it out. So what I have decided is I have 3 different color schemes going with each of them, and I'm just going to bring in a blending brush from that color scheme and just put a little color behind where they're going to be on this panel. And I've got my Spellbinders big blending brushes there. I don't have one for the green, so I'm going to bring in another one. And I'm just laying some color down on top of that foil and that white panel. And we're going to have just little zones with the color. And I'm going to put the green on here, and I've just got this itty bitty one that has the right color green on there, and I'm just going to work with it. And we're just laying some color down on that panel. Like I said, we've got some really simple cards going on today. I think it's going to work. I like it. I think it's a fun idea. I had no clue where I was headed when I colored those gals the way they did. I thought I was going to use one on a card, and then I decided to use all 3. So now you can see why I think Life is Better with Girlfriends would have been a good sentiment for this card, but I don't go with it. So because I've got the foiled base layer there, I'm going to bring in some gold cardstock and put it behind. We'll have a nice little piece of gold peeking out behind. Now this is not Spellbinders gold. I think it's something that was in one of my Love from Lizzie kits, and I'm going to just layer it behind my foiled panel here. Just trimming it down so we can have that gold peeking out behind there. And I think I now have a direction in which I'm headed for this card. So I realized I cut 2 panels together there. I guess that cardstock was thin enough. I didn't realize I had grabbed 2 pieces, and I just cut them straight down together. So I'm going to get this gold panel laid down on my card base, and then we'll add our ink blended and foiled panel. And I'm just going straight down, no foam tape. We're just going to keep it really simple. I will wind up popping up all the girls. And I'm just going to grab some foam tape and get it laid down on them, and then we'll stick them all down on our card. So here we've got them all taped up, and we're ready to start laying them down on there. And she's going to go in the pink area. And we've got our little girl that's going to go in the blue area. And then we've got our little green girl. And I think they're super cute, very fun. I probably could have taken the blending brush and blended the white spaces on each of them as well, but I didn't do that. So now I'm looking at my sentiments, And I think I choose sending smiles with every step because it's like they're stepping. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I can get this to fit on here. It's going to cover my little girl's clothes up, and I really don't want to do that. So I decide to add it to the inside of the card, and I'll take that sentiment, and I'll also grab the dog and a heart, and we'll stamp it on the inside of this card, and we will have a sentiment on the inside of our card, and 3 little girls on the outside that are super cute. I'm turning my Misty upside down because I'm trying not to get the front of my card in the Misty because I don't want to get it dirty. And so I'm going to let it hang out, and then we'll stamp the sentiment and the heart and the dog down. And we'll just bring in our Memento black ink and use it as well for the sentiment. There we go. I think it looks super cute. So let's take a quick look at our finished cards. We've got For Real, You're My Fave, and we've got our go-to girls sending smiles with every step. Super fun. So I hope you liked it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day. And if you haven't hit that like or that subscribe button, I would sure appreciate it if you would do that. Thank you. Take care now. Bye-bye.